Good afternoon, everyone. It is about 4:28, so I'm going to give folks a couple more minutes to get in here, and we will plan to start right around 4:30. Thanks so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us, particularly at last minute. As I had indicated previously, as soon as we had additional information to share regarding the outstanding questions with educator certification and testing, we would be reaching out to schedule some time. And true to form, we are here this afternoon. We just got the word on some answers for some questions that have been pending, and are pleased to be able to share out. Appreciate all of you making time to join us on this afternoon. First, I'd like to cover a few logistical things. Just for clarity and because of how many people we have, attendees will be muted during the call, but Dr. Olson is monitoring questions in the chat, and we will follow up either for questions that we can quickly answer. We will try to do so today, and for those that might need a little research or that we may need to put together, we will follow up with those later. We are recording today's webinar, so in hopes of making this available down the road. The other thing I would say for processing time and everyone viewing this is that we will be hope to have information posted with more of the details around what we share out today, either later this evening or early tomorrow is our hope. So if you miss something here, we will try to share that out and make you aware of when that information is posted, so you sort of have the final product to work from. I appreciate everyone's patience as we work through these challenging issues. As I had said previously, it was more important to get a right answer than the fast answer, and so we've tried to work diligently through these challenges, recognizing that the time pressures you're under, and also recognizing the shared goals that we continue to have with ensuring the safety of our students and our candidates, as well as ensuring that we have a well-prepared teacher workforce to meet the needs of our districts across the state. The agency has continued to work closely with the governor's office, Department of State Health Services, and other agencies across the state to coordinate the response to COVID-19. The agency has been pushing out significant amounts of information, sort of working toward questions of public health and feeding kids and working toward instructional continuity, working with our special populations, questions around student assessment and accountability, in addition to the prior guidance that we've put out related to educator preparation and certification. So with that context, today we're going to be providing some more guidance around the candidates currently enrolled in preparation programs and what options exist for these populations moving forward with certification. So there are three primary groups that we will be talking about and that today's guidance will relate to. The waivers we have received from Governor Abbott today relate to teacher candidates who completed clinical teaching either during fall of 2019 or spring of 2020. Those candidates who completed an internship during spring of 2020 and non-teacher candidates, for example, principal candidates and other non-teacher candidates who completed a practicum during fall of 19 or spring of 2020. And so there are some more specific eligibility requirements I will talk about in a minute, but these are the broad buckets as to who we're talking about providing further guidance around today. So with the waivers that the governor has issued, this will allow these groups of candidates to receive a one-year probationary certificate. While SBEC rules currently allow for a probationary certificate for certain candidates, this flexibility will allow for groups of candidates who haven't been able to meet their testing requirements to be on a one-year probationary certificate in order to receive that certification, give districts some assurance to be able to hire or retain these educators as certified educators, and to allow educator preparation programs to recommend these candidates for certification. So speaking of those eligibility requirements, we'll speak to those at a high level, and as I said, we will be putting out additional specificity around this. So as it relates to teacher candidates in a traditional program, we're referring to those who haven't received a certificate, who have completed clinical teaching in fall of 2019 or spring of 2020, and who have not passed all of the required certification exams, but have completed all other program requirements. As it relates to our teacher candidates in alternative certification programs on an intern certificate, this is referring to those who have completed their internship as of spring of 2020, who have not passed all required certification exams for a standard certificate, but who have completed all other program requirements satisfactorily. So these are the groups of teacher candidates we are talking to and who will be eligible for this one-year probationary certificate. As it relates to non-teacher candidates, it's those who either do not have a certificate, but who completed their practicum in fall of 19 or spring of 2020, but who have not passed required certification exams, but have completed all other program requirements except for the passage of exams. Similarly, with principal candidates and other non-teacher candidates serving on an intern certificate, it will allow those candidates to move to a probationary certificate, even if they have not passed all of the required certification exams, to give them 1 year of additional certification. I want to speak a little bit to the process at a high level, but this is an area where we will provide detailed step-by-step instructions with screenshots for both candidates and preparation programs. So candidates will need to submit a complete application for a probationary certificate. They will still need to complete the fingerprinting requirements. And then once that application is complete and they've been recommended by the program, the certificate will issue. Programs will be responsible for reviewing candidate eligibility, recommending for that probationary certificate, and seeing that the certificate is issued appropriately to that candidate. The anticipated timeline for this is roughly from May 15th to June 15th. So there is a defined window here to make sure that these processes are able to wrap up in a timely fashion, but also recognizing graduation dates, the end of the semester for our intern candidates, and some of those other requirements that will need to be met in order for the certificate to issue. So this is the anticipated timeline for this certification process. So beginning very soon, candidates will be able to begin their application process. EPPs can start reviewing eligibility and contacting eligible candidates starting soon. And when I say soon, I would probably, as soon as you have reviewed and feel confidence with the additional supporting documents we've placed. I wouldn't recommend you necessarily go straight from this call to contacting candidates, so I would make sure I had something in hand and had time to review that. Between May 15th and June 15th, the system will allow preparation programs to recommend these candidates. Additionally, we'll be asking preparation programs to complete a tracking sheet to help validate this data and track these candidates to make sure everything's happening in the right place within the system. Candidates will need to complete their fingerprinting and background check process, and then with the goal of the certificate issuing on or around June 15th or sooner when the candidate completes the application. As I mentioned, we will have some additional guidance for candidates. We'll be posting this to the TEA COVID-19 webpage, along with some additional, more detailed, frequently asked questions and step-by-step technical guidance for preparation programs. This will be guidance that preparation programs will be able to share with candidates. It won't be available today, but coming soon will be the documentation template that programs will need to submit to TEA to gather the more specific information on the candidates. So with that in mind, I'd like to talk a little bit about sort of some key questions from a candidate point of view, and sort of some of the things that we know, as many of you have offered concrete solutions and suggestions and expressed concerns with potential suggestions. We've tried to address as many of those potential issues as possible. And so this won't address every issue, but we'll begin to address those. As far as a complete candidate application, it will be the probationary certificate Texas program application submitted by the candidate with the required $78 fee, verification of fingerprint complete status, and the preparation program's recommendation for issuance of the certificate. So these are sort of the key elements that will be required for the certificate to issue. There will be step-by-step guidance and instructions that candidates can follow and programs can follow for this process. Probationary certificate will be issued in the appropriate teacher or non-teacher area, and it will allow the candidate to be appropriately and fully certified to serve in that role during the 1-year validity period of the credential. It will last a year, and it will enable the candidate to serve in the identified role and teach the students in just the same way any other 1-year credential would be valid for. Once candidates do ultimately pass their certification exams, which the exams will still be required for the standard certificate to issue, the candidate will be able to go in and apply for the standard certificate and go through that process then. So while this will be in place for 1 year, and I know many of your candidates will be eligible for the standard certificate, had already passed all of their tests. So for those candidates who are eligible, there's no need to go through the extra step of the probationary. They can go straight to the standard certificate if they've passed all their testing requirements and completed all other preparation program requirements. There have been some questions about any leeway around fingerprinting of teacher candidates, and as of this time, there is no intent to modify the fingerprinting and criminal background check requirements for certificate applicants or any other non-certified employees or other individuals required to fingerprint. Share a little bit from the district perspective, because in addition to all the conversations we've had with your candidates, with you, we've also been in close contact with our district partners. So wanted to share out a little more on this. One of the most common questions relates to having an employee who's on an intern certificate and what happens to that employee if the district would like to continue to employ them. And so this waiver from Governor Abbott will allow that employee to qualify for the issuance of a probationary certificate to continue teaching for an additional year while that candidate completes the testing requirements in the upcoming year. This will not require extra paperwork or burdens on a district. To do this, if the employing district has paperwork as part of their hiring process, that will be something they need, but otherwise this will not require extra steps for the hiring district. The certificate, as I said earlier, will be effective for a year. These candidates will be able to serve as a teacher of record, and districts will be able to access and verify an individual certificate status through the secure entity access and ECOS. We've tried to address some of the most common questions we anticipated from preparation programs in this guidance. We recognize there will be more unique situations that we need to address and questions that will evolve as we go through this process and dig in deeper, and we will be following up with that. We will provide detailed guidance for preparation programs to recommend these candidates for a probationary certificate. We'll provide some step-by-step guidance in the documents that get posted, and the district for this probationary certificate will be a whole lot of zeros followed by a 5 and then TEA cohort 2020 to recommend. This will enable better tracking of these candidates and enable them to issue. So EPPs will need to complete a template spreadsheet that we will be providing. It'll include information about candidates who qualified under these governor waivers, and this will help us make adjustments to the data on our end. We recognize that degree conferral dates can vary from institution to institution, and so when completing a recommendation, preparation programs will be able to put the date of degree conferral that is in the future to accommodate that. One of the questions we knew programs would have was about providing formal observation for candidates on a probationary certificate, but who have otherwise completed all requirements. Programs will not have to provide observations for this cohort of probationary candidates because the program is attesting that the candidate has already successfully completed the internship or clinical teaching to fulfill this requirement. As a result, these candidates are not completing an internship under the probationary certificate as others would be. They are serving on this credential as a teacher of record. So no formal observations are not required pursuant to the terms of the waiver from Governor Abbott. Programs should mark these candidates as finishers on the finisher records list. This will need to be updated to note these candidates as finishers. And under the requirements, candidates do not need to pass a certification exam to be marked as a finisher. That's not a change, but just wanted to note that here. Finally, additional technical guidance is forthcoming. We will need to have these processed during this open period to accommodate the system and make sure things get issued in a timely fashion. After this period, during which this option is available under the waiver, candidates will need to meet testing requirements for new certificates to be issued. Additionally, preparation programs will need to provide test approval for teachers with this probationary certificate so that they can complete testing requirements for standard certification prior to the expiration of the probationary certificate. So that is going to be an important part of the program's ongoing role. I know a number of you've indicated other supports that you intend to provide for this population of candidate, recognizing the uniqueness of the situation in their final semester here and completing their clinical experience. So we certainly encourage that, but at a minimum, there will need to be test approval for candidates and then in support of their pursuit of the standard certification. So we recognize that these are the big groups of most immediate pressing concerns, but we know this is not the universe of full concerns. We know there will be targeted questions that come up as a result of the specific guidance that we're providing today. But we also recommend that there's some other pressing concerns around testing for 2021 interns and additionally admission for those 2020, 2021 candidates and interns. Ongoing questions about the testing vendors' capacity to meet testing demand once testing centers reopen. And so we are working through those issues, and we'll, as we have done previously, as we have answers and additional guidance, we will provide that out to preparation programs. As we've gone through this process, we have tried to tier and triage the questions in the greatest order of urgency that they were facing programs and candidates. And so we started with immediate questions around the clinical experience and the term and the setting for that clinical teaching or internship experience. Then we knew we needed to address the testing and certification questions, and that's what we're trying to address the bulk of today. Now we recognize the next section of questions we'll need to deal with the upcoming school year and what needs to happen with those candidates. So those will be among the big ticket items that we're working to address, and we'll provide some guidance out on those when we have it. I don't anticipate us having that immediately. As I've said, there are a whole lot of steps to go through to reach an answer, but we will be providing those as we have it. I think that this communication will likely be shared with district superintendents by the commissioner tomorrow afternoon when the commissioner has his call. I can't say definitively, but I think district HR folks will get that heads up, and the superintendents will be apprised of this on their call tomorrow. And as additional information becomes available, we will continue to share that. There will probably be some more tactical, logistical sort of information we share just in terms of updates to the documents that are posted on the TEA page. But as we have bigger guidance, we will try to schedule some time to share that out. So with that said, I'm going to check in with Dr. Olson and see if there's anything we need to address now.
Thanks, Ryan. There's nothing that we need to address just right now. And like you said, we'll be looking forward to providing additional guidance to folks posted elsewhere on the COVID website and such. So thank you.
I'd like to check with Marilyn Cook, our Director of Educator Certification, to see if there's any cleanup she needs to do of anything I've shared.
You do not need any cleanup behind me. I think you did a great job covering everything, Ryan. Thanks.
All right, well, we appreciate everyone's time this afternoon. And again, I would urge you to wait for the specifics before you start giving candidates detailed directions. That should be coming either later this evening or early tomorrow. And we'll try to push that out to programs and make sure folks are aware when we know that it's posted and we have confirmation that it's posted. And we wish the best for you and your families and hope that everybody is safe and well, and we will be in touch soon. Thank you so much.